Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
Brewers, it's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think, Jamil and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Greetings, cretins.
Is that what you're going to do when you go down to New Zealand? You're going to greet them cretins?
Yep. But
Yeah.
I may have a couple of spears thrown at me. I don't know. We'll see.
Spears.
Well, they got the Maori down there, you know.
So the people in New Zealand are quite a spear-chucking people? Is that what you're saying?
That and tongue sticking, too.
You don't want somebody sticking their tongue in you. Is that what you're saying?
Just towards you, I think, really.
Oh.
I don't believe there's any actual contact.
There could be. I'll tell you what, you can find out March 18th, 19th, and 20th, 2016. You go down to Nelson, New Zealand. It's $75 New Zealand money, which I have no idea what that works out to be. It could be like $1 million US.
That could be.
But you get there, they got a crowdfunding campaign. They're gonna have some early bird tickets, and it's gonna be great.
Are
John,
they in the
you're
Eurozone,
going?
Do you suppose?
Are they what?
Are they in the Eurozone, do you
No,
suppose?
they're not. They're not. It's not part of the the Eurozone. It's not part of the European Union.
American geography at its finest.
Yes. I think they're somewhere north of us. But you go, you get early bird tickets. Apparently, Tasty is going to be there. Palmer, you're going to be there.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you, New Zealand is one of the most beautiful countries with the nicest people in the world. There are no people on the planet nicer than the people in New Zealand.
Wow.
That is a fact. That's not conjecture. That is not that's fact. I will tell you this.
Well, that's saying something because I've met some really nice people around the world.
Have you ever been to New Zealand?
I have not.
I have. And I'm telling you, everywhere you go in New Zealand, the people are super nice. It's just the way they are. Very nice people. Beautiful country. Great beer.
Free sheep for everyone.
If you're going to New Zealand, you better not just be going for the 3 days, Palmer. You better be going for like 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It is absolutely a lovely, lovely place. The website for this thing is www.nzhc.newzealand.nz. So it's like New Zealand Homebrew Conference.nz. All right, so check it out. I would suggest supporting it and having a lot of fun for your $75 New Zealand. That's cheap. Yeah. That's like a beer festival here. 75.
Sounds like it's worth going.
I think so too.
Yep.
So check it out. What else you been up to? Been keeping yourself out of trouble?
Yeah. Been working on the next edition of How to Brew. Working on that, and it's like every chapter I think, oh yeah, this won't take too long, and then of course I spend a week on it. Digging up new information, new paragraphs. I just got done spending like 3 days trying to extract how much protein precipitation occurs as a function of original gravity, and for the hops utilization curve.
Now, I was probably drinking at GABF, but it just came to me. Did we not promise Christy a new book by December 2016?
December 2016.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't think we gave her a date. We said we would do one, but I don't think we gave her a year.
She said, can you have it done by December 2016? And we just, that's what we did. We went, Well, if you'd finish up on this other book, we could get cracking on it.
Yeah, if How to Brew More would be done soon,
all right,
then the Zanishev and Palmer team could get back to work.
We could get cracking on the new one.
Okay.
People have been asking.
Well, I should be done in a couple months. So we got all of next year.
This is why Palmer needs me.
Yeah.
I crack the whip and make him get stuff done. Come on, John. Finish up.
Okay. All right.
Finish up. You get out your tissues, finish up. And we'll get on to the next one. All right?
Fair enough.
That thing's already written. You know, all you need to do is pretend like you updated it. Kind of massage a couple of words here, there, a couple of pages, and then there's no qualifier on it saying 20% rewritten. It's just like, well, next edition.
I'll rewrite it for you. Just send it over here,
right,
Palmer.
You're already done.
It's a piece of cake.
You're done, Palmer. You're done. Finished.
It's going to be better.
Thing. Oh, no. See, that's the problem people get into. They can't finish books because they can't stop editing them.
Yeah.
And then they never send them in. This is why you need somebody like me who really doesn't give a shit and just going to send in whatever crap I got done.
Right.
I'll make the deadline, sure.
They can edit
no problem. Yeah. And then they want it fixed up a little bit. Well, you have to give me more time. Or you can take the crap I gave you. That's how I work.
That's the name of the new book, The Crap I Gave You.
The Crap I Gave You. That's the working title. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We might polish that up a little bit. A couple of tweaks here and there.
The Crap We Gave You by Zanishev and Palmer.
That's right.
Everything you need to know because we gave it to
you.
Yeah. Speaking about giving you what you know or what you want, giving you what you need.
That's right.
How about our good friend John Blickman and Blickman Engineering, huh?
Indeed.
I tell you, they've given homebrewers the highest quality of brewing equipment out there. They are always one step ahead on the genius chart of figuring out new ways to innovate your homebrew day. And I'll tell you, they do some amazing stuff, and I'm always very impressed with those guys. It's a smart crowd. As compared to the crowd I run around with, they run around with a smart crowd.
Well, they do it because they're passionate about brewing.
That's right. If you're passionate about brewing, get yourself over to BlickmanEngineering.com. Check out all the good stuff they have. They'll be at the Homebrewers Conference in June in Baltimore.
That's right.
And so you can see them there. But in the meantime, send them an email. Feedback at BlickmanEngineering.com. Tell them how much you love that they sponsor the show and anything else you want to feed them back. They'll appreciate it. All right. Today we are going to do some Q&A questions. Normally, I would consolidate them into like a category about MASH or something like that, but we got what we got, which is a collection of random questions today. And I think that, hey, at least they're fresh. These are fresh questions. These are not 8 years old, like some of the questions we've been answering recently. All right, let's do one.
These are really fresh. This is dated October 11th.
See?
All right, Sean writes in, hey, guys, I heard somewhere that the late, great George Fix used to rack his chilled wort to a corny keg, which was immersed in an ice water bath, bringing the wort to 32 F for some amount of time, not sure how long. Then he'd rack the cleared wort, minus the hot and cold break, to his fermenter. Is this a worthwhile practice, especially for delicate styles like Pilsner?
Well, I know, George believes so. And, there was always this thing about, the break material actually helps with, the yeast health and fermentation.
Nutrition,
and you'll get, Chris White is like, well, no. Don't take any of the break material out because, you get better attenuation and all this. And so, which one is it? People want to know. I'm not a fan of leaving it all in there. And George, I remember talking to him about this specifically, and he was saying that, even if you chill it down to freezing, unless you're going to filter the beer at that point, or the wort at that point, you are not going to get all the cold break out. There's still plenty in there. And so the amount that the yeast will use as nutrition, that's still there. Now, why then do you get better attenuation or faster fermentation with all that break material in there? I'm not sure if it's really that they're using all those additional nutrients or building more, cell wall or cell membrane with it, the sterols from it. I wonder if it's really just they're acting as additional nucleation sites, and so the CO2 is releasing. There's less, partial pressure of CO2 in solution, and therefore the yeast are a little more active. I don't know if, because the concentration of CO2 will suppress the yeast activity.
Yeah. I've read a lot of papers on this topic on the ASPC and MBAA, and I think all of these factors contribute to, to a better, faster fermentation because of, you have more nutrients, you have more fatty acids for the yeast to utilize in their synthesization of sterols. You have the increased nucleation sites for CO2 to help get that to come out of solution and not have that CO2 poisoning, because it really is a waste product of the yeast, and if you start living in your own waste, you slow down.
That's why Justin's so slow.
I'm a very slow man.
So I think George was looking at an extreme case, and a lot of commercial brewers do this too, where they try to make as clear a wort as possible to reduce chill haze and to improve flavor stability down the line. But I think
because if you have an excess of fatty acids in your wort, and the yeast do not take up all of it, or somehow all of it does not get bound up.
Right, those will oxidize.
Right, you get faster staling on that beer. Is that not correct? That's
right. So yeah, I think the middle is the golden zone, where if you don't take, you can take some of it out, and reduce you reduce your risk of staling down the line, but you don't want to take all of it out, because then you would start impacting the yeast nutrition.
Yeah, but again, there's still a considerable amount. What I always did when I was making lagers was I would chill down to my fermentation temperature, and you get a certain amount of cold break formation at that point. Let that fall out. I would dump that, and then I would pitch my yeast. So I wouldn't go down to 32, but I think going down to your fermentation temperature, letting that settle out, and then dumping that is worthwhile.
Okay.
And I think I wouldn't leave the entire amount of break material in there from the kettle, but I would do a bit. Yeah, a bit. I wouldn't worry about a little bit in there. Yeah. I wouldn't try and get it all out of there, but I wouldn't just leave the whole mess from the kettle and all that in there. I'd try and dump the break material if possible.
And the literature seems to suggest that the hot break material is where more of the nutrition is than the cold break. So, and that's where you can either have way too much hot break in the wort, and that's called a turbid wort. Although the studies that I've read have shown good performance and clear beer, low haze, good flavor stability with a very turgid wort versus one that's been very, very well clarified. So I think only in extreme cases are you actually going to have a problem with it.
All right. Good question. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more of your questions right after this.
Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on two gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Brew Easy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller, and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Brew Easy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Brew Easy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Brew Easy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Brew Easy. Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making. Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star San, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today. When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for every beer style. I want a Cicerone.
The Cicerone Certification Program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a Certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious. Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. We're going through some questions. If you have questions for Brew Strong, you can send them to brewstrong@thebrewingnetwork.com. And, John, I'll get to them either right away or within 10 years.
Yes. One or the other.
All right. Tim from Syracuse, New York writes in, once you guys mentioned that commercial brewers use canola oil in the fermenter to decrease krausen in the headspace. If this is possible, how? He says, back in May, when I asked you this question for the first time, I brewed 2 batches with Westmalle yeast, basically a double and a triple from Jamil's book. I added a 1/4 cup of canola into the fermenter after knockout. Beers turned out fine, but krausen seemed the same as previous batches without the oil. So thanks for the shows. I would not be starting my brewery without them, he says.
All right. 1/4 cup of canola oil. If this is a homebrew size batch, that's a shitload of canola oil.
Yeah.
That is way too much.
That is a lot.
Did we recommend that? I didn't remember recommending
No, we
that.
did not.
Okay.
There's no way on earth.
Here's what we said. Let me go back in time in the Wayback Machine, and I will repeat what I said is it's a canola oil-based anti-foam. It's called Patco 376 or something like that. And what it is made from canola oil. It isn't canola oil, just pour canola oil, get some Westonality going. It is made from canola oil, and it goes through a process that makes it quite funky. It's thick. It's very gooey. I think it's 200 milliliters in 1,000 gallons. So a quarter cup is quite a lot to put into something unless it's a good sized batch, and it's a specialized product. And what happens is a couple of things that keeps the foaming down. You could use it in the kettle. You can use it in the fermenter. What's nice about it is you don't have to filter it out. You don't have to worry about binding up somebody's organs or something with your anti-foam. And the yeast can utilize it also, as we're talking about fatty acids for sterile production. They can utilize that as well. So there you go. I think that's it. Yes?
Yeah.
Did I answer the question this time? If not, we'll try again next year.
Well, Tim, I would add, if you're opening your brewery and you're thankful for this show and all we've done, consider becoming a sponsor. Don't forget about your old friends here at the Brewing Network, and when you open up and you want to help spread the word, give us a call.
Yeah, don't be a cheap bastard.
All right, Rick from Seattle, Washington writes in, I've been a small batch all-grain brewer for the past 4 years. I do 1-gallon batches until I get a recipe down that I'm happy with, and then I bump it up to 2 gallons. Limited to these batches because of his small apartment, and he's the only one who drinks in his household. Which still seems like a small amount of beer to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's an afternoon.
For the most part, I've been bottling my beer, though recently I purchased a 2.5-gallon keg and have naturally carbonated one batch. I do not have a kegerator, so after it's carbonated, I have to put it in my regular food refrigerator and serve it via tap directly connected to a ball lock, quick disconnect, pushing it with a small CO2 keg charger, that little cartridge, I guess. Mm-hmm. So my question is about calculating how much priming sugar to add for naturally carbonating in kegs. I've read on forums about needing half of the amount of sugar one would normally use for bottling due to less headspace in a keg than a bottle. For the one batch that I did keg, I used the same amount of sugar that I've been using for bottling. And let's see, this seemed to work, though it was a bit over-carbonated. In the future, I'd like to brew a 2-gallon batch, bottle some of it, keg the rest. But in order to do this, I need to know some calculations to figure out keg headspace, beer volume, amounts of CO2, etc. And I don't really know where to start. Any advice on a calculator or how I go about calculating this?
I think in general, you want to start with the same amount that you would normally use if bottling. The remark about the difference in headspace is relevant. I don't think anyone's really modeled that, though, in terms of, we could have a calculation to give you to make an adjustment.
It's going to be the total volume of the package.
Yeah.
Because, it all reaches an equilibrium.
Right.
And so you just got to take the total volume of the package into account. I think the thing that gets a little trickier is the existing CO2 in the liquid portion of that and the existing CO2 in the headspace of that.
Yeah. And if you have more headspace, you can generate a higher partial pressure in the headspace, which can then diffuse back in to give you a little higher carbonation.
Well, I mean, you assume the pressure's essentially zero atmospheric, at when you seal the keg up.
Yeah.
And so you take the amount of CO2 that's already in the liquid, CO2 that's already in the air that was sealed in, and then how much CO2 you want to generate. It's the entire volume of the cylinder, right?
Yeah.
Because it's an equilibrium between both of them. So you need to just calculate for the entire cylinder. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to address the remark, though, that the forums suggest half as much sugar as when bottling for, say, 5 gallons.
Well, and the reason that they are is so in a bottle, your headspace is like 10% of the volume of the bottle. Sometimes a little more, depends on the size of the bottle. In a keg, if you're filling the keg up darn near to the top, the headspace is very minimal. So you're not off-gassing into that headspace as much. So that's, I think, what he was referring to.
Okay.
But, yeah, I would say it's possible to model. I would think that somebody could do it. Somebody with
Perhaps
time.
Beersmith has. I don't know.
Well, that's what I was wondering. If something is, Beersmith seems to be pretty robust about this sort of thing.
Yeah, get Brad on it.
Yeah, send the same question to Brad, who also does a podcast over on Beersmith, and he might be able to help you in the. If he doesn't have it in the software yet, he might be the guy to put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
So
there you go. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Good question.
All right, Daniel writes in, I was in the Czech Republic earlier this year and really enjoyed the lagers there, many of which had faint traces of sulfur. I'm thinking in particular of the 10 Plato light lagers. How would a home brewer achieve this flavor? Is there a way to set the fermentation schedule to leave some sulfur behind, or is the yeast selection critical in this case? Any help would be greatly appreciated.
Well, I mean, sulfur is kind of considered a flaw. So, I mean, a little bit of sulfur is considered okay for a lager, but you don't want a lot. And generally, almost any lager yeast that you use, any lager fermentation always seems to have some traces of sulfur. I mean, it may be real subtle, but the yeast you use, you just need to use a lager yeast. And yeast,
so that is going to be part of the style.
Right. Yeast that, are fermentations that are stressed, and the yeast are stressed, they'll produce more sulfur. And so, I wouldn't say it's, I mean, for me, I would not be chasing after that. I think it's a flaw in the beer, not, a character you really want to try and achieve. And I think you get plenty just from using lager yeast. I mean, that's really one of the fundamental taste differences, I think, between a lager and an ale is that background sulfur and, the lower esters.
So if he does want it, just because that's his flavor thing,
right?
I don't know, capping off the I don't mean not letting it attenuate all the way, but actually sealing, once it has attenuated, not letting anything breathe out anymore?
Yeah, I think that would enhance it. Slower fermentations will enhance it.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not as vigorous. It doesn't blow it off as well. Again, stressed fermentations will produce more sulfur. So,
okay.
You could ferment colder and maybe get more sulfur retained.
Yeah.
If you meant, colder, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question.
All right, Trevor, do you want this one? This is a good one. You want this now?
Yeah. That sounds good.
Well, Trevor writes in he says in the title of his email, it's a quick dry humping question.
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm like, hey, finally a topic I'm able to speak on profusely.
You want to get Jamil's attention.
Yeah, I'm like, I opened that one first.
All right, so Jamil and the Palmer. I know y'all are fans of dry hopping raw dog directly into the carboy.
Oh, yeah.
I think
dry hopping raw dog. Okay.
I'm going to translate. I think that means without any hop bags or anything, you just throw the pellets into the...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Going
right.
commando.
Yeah, so dry hopping raw dog directly into the carboy. But how do you prevent the hop pellet material from carrying over to the keg? Do you use a muslin bag or bubble CO2 to make them sink? I'm only trying to expose the beer to the hops for about 3 days, but I can't get them to sink naturally or via carboy swirly within that time period.
Yeah.
And then he ends up having flakes of pellets clog different things, and he doesn't want it to happen again.
Clogging his post.
Yes.
That's while he's dry humping. If you're only dry hopping 3 days, it's difficult to get them to settle down. If you're dry hopping a week, and then, generally you can shake it a little bit, the CO2 will release the hop pellet material, and it'll sink down. A couple of options. You could put like a filter sock on the end of your racking cane, and then rack from underneath the hop matter that's on the surface, and draw through and probably get most of it strained out that way. Or you could go ahead and, if you're not going raw dog, I mean, you could put them in a bag, a tea bag or whatever, and you could tea bag it instead of dry humping it.
I don't really understand the premise of the question, because aren't you racking from the bottom of the keg anyway? So it's just when it gets down to the end?
Well, he's talking about out of the carboy. There's a lot of it floating there, and then he's trying to transfer clear beer to the keg. Yeah. And what happens is those little flakes of hop pellet, they will get drawn up. They will settle down in the keg when it's chilled for a week or two. They'll drop to the bottom, and they're real light. They'll get sucked up the draw tube, and it'll clog that tube up.
Okay.
What I used to do was just remove the connector and then just jam something on the poppet and blow out whatever was sticking in there. If you have a ton of it, you'll jam up your entire draw tube. It'll be impossible to get anything out. And then you got to remove the tube, clean that out, put it back in.
Right.
And that could be a real hassle. You could, another possibility is, what was the clear beer gadget that we had that day on the show?
Oh, yeah. I forget what it's called now, but it was a float that suspended the dip tube.
The Clear Beer Draft System.
There you go.
You can go to clearbeerdraftsystem.com and check it out. And, because that basically takes your dip tube, and instead of drawing from the bottom, it floats it from the top.
Right.
So you could have as much trube as you want in the bottom, and it wouldn't matter.
Right. So that might be a way to go.
There you go.
Because I like raw dog
well too.
Yeah,
like isinglass, so that helps drop a lot of that matter. So
right.
In the
gelatin
in the carboy, Palmer, if you're going to use something
in the keg too.
In the keg, yeah,
right.
Yeah, if you use isinglass or gelatin in your keg, because I had a couple of batches that this was happening where dry hop and floaties in the beer all the time, and using the gelatin and isinglass helped drop it down and keep it settled on the bottom of the keg.
Okay.
Speaking of dry humping, Palmer, you get enough raw dog or not quite enough? I bet you'd love more.
I think everybody can get more.
That's right. That's right. Well, you go to Adam and Eve, adamandeve.com. They're going to give you more. Use the offer code Jamil, Jamil, at adamandeve.com, and they're going to give you 10 free gifts. You're going to get 6 full-length adult DVDs. You're going to get a special surprise for her, a special surprise for him, or, I bet you could talk him into, 2 special surprises for her and 2 special surprises for him, if that's the way you go. I don't see any reason that would not be acceptable.
There's always one selfish person in the couple.
Right.
Or triple, whatever.
No, I mean, the couple could be 2 women. The couple could be 2 men.
Oh, I see.
I'm just saying.
Okay, I understand now.
It doesn't have to be a him and a her.
I was thinking about me, but now I get it.
Right. Yeah. In your case, you would get 2 gifts for him, and you'd leave Kate suffering. She's used to it by now.
Yeah.
And then something for both of you to enjoy. All right? So that's probably like a double ender or something. I don't really know. And you're going to get free shipping on the whole thing. All you got to do, you go to adamandeve.com, you buy one thing, any one thing that you find there, put that in your cart, use the offer code Jamil, Jamil, and you're going to get the free 10 gifts along with the free shipping, free DVDs, all that stuff. Just check it out, adamandeve.com, and get all your raw dog stuff going.
Keep it raw dog, Trevor.
There you go. Thank you, Trevor, for helping us out with that one.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take another short break. When we come back, we'll have more of your questions right after this.
Beer tasting games that train your palate, a brewery locator, and the brand new interactive beer style guide. These are just a few of the awesome things you'll find on craftbeer.com. The style guide is a beautiful example of technology in beer. Browse beer style families or turn on the automatic beer style finder and explore beer through color, bitterness, ABV, aroma, and flavor. It's really the coolest way to explore every beer style besides having them all in front of you. Go to craftbeer.com craftbeer.com and click on Beer Styles to start the guide. Plus, enjoy the rest of craftbeer.com, the Brewers Banter blogs, beer education, how to host a beer tasting, and the invaluable Draft Quality Manual. Tons of great content that makes your beer better. Visit the new craftbeer.com right now and explore the website that brings you all the passion, camaraderie, and creativity of the craft beer community. Craftbeer.com, celebrating the best of American beer. A few things happened 30 years ago.
ARPANET migrated to TCP/IP, and the Internet was born. Revenge of the Jedi was renamed Return of the Jedi and opened in theaters. Mila Kunis and Emily Blunt were born, beginning a rad fantasy in my mind.
But all of that pales next to the fact that HopTech opened its doors and began blowing homebrewers right out of their mash tuns. HopTech doesn't fuck around. Real people shipping awesome shit straight to you. Their new website is fast and easy to navigate. Or just call 800-379-4677 and let badass bitch Jade and the gadget guy Roberto blow their warm load of customer service all over you. So visit the site or visit the store in Dublin, California, and support those that support you. Get your brewing on at hoptech.com.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamil Zainashev, and I want to tell you about Heretic Evil Twin. You might be familiar with my homebrew recipe, which uses massive late hopping to create a balance between the malty sweet and the hoppy bitter, along with an outrageous malt and hop character. I wanted a beer with the same bold hop and malt character, so we played around with the homebrew recipe until we were able to make a great commercial version too. We've created a beer rich in malt character, full of caramel, toast, biscuit, and an ever so subtle roast note. On top of that, we piled in an insane amount of Citra and Columbus hops at the end of the boil, as well as in dry hopping. This damn-the-cost approach to hopping gives Heretic's Evil Twin a great blast of citrus and tropical fruit that can't be matched by any other hop. The result is a bold, malty, hoppy, but easy-drinking beer. This is our top seller, our flagship beer, and I couldn't be prouder of it. Cheers.
To find Heretic beers near you, click on Find Some at hereticbrewing.com. Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and the freshest ingredients, backed by the best customer service in the business. Do you like to mash using efficient fly sparging, but would like an easy way to heat your strike and sparge water? Enter the new Brewer's Edge electric mash water heater, a plug-in, anywhere, precisely controlled heater for strike and sparge water. Ditch the fumes and second burner and make mashing easy. Go to williamsbrewing.com today and browse their vast selection. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 4 p.m. Pacific Time weekdays ship the same day. Brewing is easy the Williams way.
Back to the two guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. And I'll tell you.
Sure. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we're back. Sure. All right.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Okay. No, I'll tell you, there's a lot of fine programming on the Brewing Network, and I suggest you check it out. There's the Dr. Homebrew, which I enjoy. They analyze beers, give recommendations on the quality. They judge them. There's the Sour Hour. I sat in on an episode of Sour Hour recently with Jay, and Lauren Salazar was there from New Belgium, and I brought in some beers. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed that. There's also the Sunday session. Well, the session. It's no longer on a specific day.
I still do that. Yeah.
Right. That's been great. That's the cornerstone of the whole thing. Mm. And then there's the Brewing with Style that we do, too. Mm-hmm. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
All for free.
That's right.
Check it out. Lots of good stuff. TheBrewingNetwork.com. If you're downloading this, you can download the other ones. So there you go.
We're kind of, Jamil, we're kind of the forefront or foreskin of the Brewing Network, I suppose.
There you
foreskin.
go. Yeah.
I always thought of us as the taint, but yeah, foreskin, that works. All right, next question.
Peak.
All right, Mr. Picklefeather writes in.
Oh, Mr. Picklefeather.
Hello, gentlemen. It's me, Mr. Picklefeather. Do you guys know this guy? Is he writing off?
Ironic, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Picklefeather, who doesn't?
He says, after the diacetyl rest, I like to cool my beers to around 45 F to drop out as much yeast as I can. Does the speed at which I drop the temperature have any effect on the beer? Can I just set my fridge to 45 and walk away, or should I lower it at some degree interval per day?
Well, back in the day, I used to just crash cool everything, and I didn't think that there was a whole lot of difference. However, in doing the yeast book, my research turned up that, especially when you're doing like a lager or something like that, where you don't want a lot of esters, when you crash cool yeast, they will actually express more of those compounds that can become the fruity esters. Mm-hmm. It actually will increase the flavor profile of the beer. So if you're trying to make a clean lager or a clean ale and low ester, you want to be careful of that and slowly lower the temperature so the yeast actually don't express as much, I guess, or consume it or whatever they do, so that you don't express as much potential for esters into the beer. Yeah. But if you're making, like some British ale or something like that, slam the temperature away, I think. Not a problem. Would you have a different opinion, John?
No, that's consistent with what I feel too. Okay. You will, if crash cooling will give you some shock proteins and other compounds released from the yeast, and so if you're as you say, for a light lager, delicate flavors, minimizing those is best.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There you go.
All right. RJ writes in, hey, guys, I was just listening to your episode on beer clarifying techniques, and I had a question about using gelatin. When do you deal with carbonation? I've been cold crashing and adding gelatin directly to secondary, so the beer's cleared out by the time I rack over to the keg and force carbonate. But it sounds like most people just add gelatin directly to the keg. So if you're adding gelatin to the keg, do you force carbonate beforehand? I'm concerned whether the gelatin would work in a carbonated beer, basically. That's what he's getting at. So, what do you think, Palmer?
Oh, I don't know. I've never done it that way. I always do the gelatin first and carbonate after.
Yeah, it will work. A number of brewers they'll throw the gelatin in and they'll use CO2 from the bottom to stir up and make sure the gelatin is mixed in with the beer.
So that's part of his worry. He says, I imagine that if I do the gelatin first and let it clear, mm-hmm. and then I force carbonate, mm-hmm. I'm going to stir up all the stuff that I just got to drop out of the beer.
Well, only if he has a gas tube that goes to the bottom of the keg.
Okay.
Otherwise, you usually with a corny keg, you're injecting all the CO2 in the headspace.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
On the top, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
And as far as like CO2 in solution affecting the ability of the gelatin to clear the beer, that really shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. Wouldn't you essentially do both? You rack to a keg, mm-hmm. before you seal it off, you put all your gelatin in.
That's what people are doing.
And then you stick the CO2 on and leave it there.
Right.
Till it carbonates.
Yes.
Okay.
And the gelatin will settle out overnight.
Yeah, okay.
And you should get clear beer.
Oh, it's that fast, huh? Overnight.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And just the thing to be aware, a lot of times people say, well, gelatin didn't work for me, or, the beer's not that clear, or I'm getting a bunch of, hazy, mucky stuff. If you use too much fining, and this goes back to a little is good, more must be better type of mentality. You want to use the right amount for the beer that you're brewing, and it's going to be slightly different for different beers, but if you use way too much, you get what's called fluffy bottoms. And, it's which you find on adamandeve.com as well.
Yeah.
There's a whole DVD on that one. And it's just, won't compact down at the bottom, and so you're going to draw off, several pints of mucky gelatin, fluffy bottoms. So you just got to be careful about that. All right, we need to squeeze in one last break here, and we'll do that. We'll come back. We'll answer one more question right after this.
The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
Do you like beer? They make beer.
Watch out!
Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun.
Watch out!
Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring
Monk's Blood.
Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you. And we love giving you something extra for that support, like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, there are amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and the Homebrewer's Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from thebrewingnetwork.com.
Say hello to my little friend.
You've heard about White Labs Pure Pitch Yeast. Pure Pitch is yeast grown right in its final packaging. That means yeast that has never been exposed to the environment. And White Labs Pure Pitch yeast for homebrewers is now available to everyone at homebrew retailers nationwide. Easy to use, perfectly sized, and ready to pitch. White Labs yeast packaged using their FlexCell process ensures the purest yeast on the market. Visit whitelabs.com to learn more about Pure Pitch, FlexCell technology, and how it's created. Then visit a homebrew retailer near you for your own perfectly sized package of Pure Pitch yeast. And you can say hello to your own little friend. www.whitelabs.com. Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and the freshest ingredients, backed by the best customer service in the business. Do you like to mash using efficient fly sparging, but would like an easy way to heat your strike and sparge water? Enter the new Brewer's Edge electric mash water heater, a plug-in, anywhere, precisely controlled heater for strike and sparge water. Ditch the fumes and second burner and make mashing easy. Go to williamsbrewing.com today and browse their vast selection. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 4 p.m. Pacific Time weekdays ship the same day. Brewing is easy the Williams way.
Learning to brew has never been so disgusting. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. And I'll tell you, one of the things that really has stood me well through all my home brewing and professional brewing, AHA membership. I think that's one of the things that I found early on, and it really has been one of the benefits that it really helped me find the larger community of homebrewers as well.
Yep.
And really has given me a lot valuable information. The Zymergy magazine you get. I use the pub discount program to pay for my membership over and over. And then you get the AHA rallies that are free. You get so many great things, plus all they do to help protect the interests of homebrewers in in the legislature. They're always kind of act as a bit of a watchdog to make sure nothing strange is going on to take away your rights. So I think it's well worth being a member, and couldn't be easier. You go to thebrewingnetwork.com and you'll see the AHA link there. You click that, you sign up through that. A little piece of the pie goes back to the Brewing Network, helps keep a show like this on the air, and then the rest goes to the AHA, paying for what they do and keeping them busy, and you get all those great benefits. Zymergy magazine alone is worth the price of the membership. So,
and by the way, the Hop Grenade right here is part of the pub program. You get a discount here, probably at Heretic Tap House.
At Heretic, you get an AHA discount as well.
Yeah, there you go.
You can quickly pay for your membership that way, and just discounts on the things you buy. All right, one last question.
There we go. Christopher writes in. This one's titled Water Chemistry. So he says, he says, this question's probably for John, because I'm sure Jamil just rolled his eyes as soon as he saw the subject line. And although I agree with Jamil that the final and most important arbiter of anything the brewer does should be the flavor of the beer, my personality and desire to understand chemistry behind the beer forces me to ask the question. So, when I see recipe formulations that include water chemistry adjustments, they rarely, if ever, mention treating the sparge water. I understand the importance of acidifying the sparge water to keep the pH from rising too high and potentially extracting tannins. But isn't it also important to mineralize the sparge water, or possible boil kettle to keep your target mineral concentrations constant? Otherwise, your wort water chemistry would not match your mash water chemistry due to the dilution from the untreated sparge water. And he goes on. So, what do you think, John?
But that is essentially correct. Especially if you are trying to target an overall water profile for the beer, whether it's, say high sulfate for an IPA, high chloride for a lager, for a Bock or something like that, or, just the overall residual alkalinity of that water, then, the short answer is yes, you would want to mineralize the sparge water as well. And, in other words, treat all of the water the same that's going into the process. However, with that in mind, you can take some shortcuts if you understand kind of like the next level down. For instance, if you are brewing with a very soft water that doesn't have a lot of minerals in it, doesn't have much alkalinity to it, then that water is not going to raise the mash pH or the grain bed pH, the runnings pH, very much as you sparge. And so you can hold off mineralizing the sparge water, because really the mineralization of the sparge water is not going to do much in terms of controlling the mash pH or the runnings pH during the sparge, unless you use a lot. You have to have calcium levels up around 200 ppm to really do that. So, but because you're sparging with a low alkalinity water, a rise in pH is not a big concern, and you can hold off on adding that remaining amount of mineral until the boil kettle, and then just say, okay, I sparged with 4 gallons of water, I'll add 4 gallons worth of salts to the boil kettle to make up that difference. And so that's one way to address it. Likewise, you can, if you are going to acidify your sparge water to prevent pH rise, there again, that acidification is going to be more effective at controlling the runnings pH from the mash than if you were to add your minerals to the sparge water. So you can, again, hold off on adding those minerals until you get to the boil kettle and just do it based on the total volume that you added. I hope that kind of clears it up.
Clear as a bell to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if he rewinds and plays a couple of dozen times, it'll be absolutely clear. I think I would agree with John. You can. It isn't necessarily critical to do it to the sparge water. As long as you're acidifying, so your pH isn't rising in your mash as you sparge. As long as the total amount of minerals that are in the kettle are the correct ones for what you're targeting, then it could be thrown into the kettle even. It doesn't really necessarily need to go to the mash. I would have the one caveat that I think he mentioned people were giving recipes with, water treatments. Be very careful of that because, again, somebody may be basing it off of one thing or another. If you treat the water, a lot of it, will be remaining in the mash. And, if you took that amount of minerals and added it just to the kettle, that could be a problem.
Yeah.
So just be careful of recipes that talk about water adjustments because, it really doesn't take into account your water, your situation, So you want to take it with a grain of salt, would you say? I don't know.
Yes. It's very easy to oversalt your beer.
Right.
So, you really got to understand what your source water contains, exactly how much you're adding, to hit what sort of target. Understand, where you're starting from, where you're trying to go, and how you're going to get there before you add a lot of salts to your beer.
Mm-hmm. Well, and, with the drought in California, what is normally a very steady water source for us, the mineral content has been changing over time. Yeah. And so we've been, we check our water weekly. We have, Lamont Pro test kits, and we go through and check our water weekly, and that kind of gives us information as to some adjustments that we need to do. And generally, it's just the addition of some more acid for maintaining the proper pH in our mash, and therefore in the final beer. But I find that really useful, and I think we should do a full show on just the process of testing your water and
adjusting
it from there. What does that tell you? Okay, here's what you're going to need to do. This is where you start, and because I think that's kind of a black hole for a lot of people. Just testing water is something that they find to be difficult.
Yeah, it just sounds bizarre.
Right. But. All right, so that'll be a future show. We'll knock that one out for you eventually. We'll put it on the list. All right, another fine show. Thank you, John. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Bevo.
You're welcome.
We had a lot of fun. Hope you did too. Make sure to support our sponsors if you want to keep having fun and hearing good information like this. BlickmanEngineering.com. Go there. Check out all their goodies. You can give them feedback on what you think of the show, what you think of their products at feedback@BlickmanEngineering.com. And check out the AHA. Check out the Brewing Network store. One of the best things you can do to support this and to give yourself a great gift, go to the Brewing Network store, thebrewingnetwork.com/store. Lots of goodies in there. If you're being forced to listen to this in the car by your spouse, you know what your spouse needs for Christmas? Some goodies from the Brewing Network store. Go to the Brewing Network store.
Just use offer code JAMI.
Right. Go get yourself some hoodies, some hats, some shirts, all those good things. You get yourself a nice gift, and it keeps this programming on the air, which I'm sure the person that's forcing you to listen to this in the car for hours on end would want you to do. So check that out, and it's much appreciated. Until then, everyone, brew strong.
Brew strong, everybody.